Snow fell in slow, heavy
What was
flakes.
that sound?
Soft,
I don't know, just
silent, and merciless. Somewhere on the edge of the city, a silver car stood half buried in white. Inside, a young girl pressed her trembling hands against the frosted glass, her breath fogging the window. Her name was Isabella Beaumont, daughter of one of the richest men in New York, and that night money meant nothing. Her car had broken down in the middle of nowhere, her phone battery was dead, and the temperature was sinking fast. Her designer coat offered little warmth. The wind howled like a beast, and for the first time in her life, Isabella felt what true fear was: cold, hungry, and utterly alone. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her father's company owned skyscrapers, fleets of cars, and even a private jet. Yet none of that power could save his daughter now. The city lights were miles away, and the forested road stretched into darkness. She hugged her knees, whispering, "Someone will come." They have to. But hours passed. The world outside froze, and then a faint crunch of footsteps in the snow. A shadow moved closer. A boy, maybe 16, dressed in torn clothes, a thin blanket wrapped around his shoulders. His cheeks were red from the cold, eyes sharp but kind. "Hey," he said softly, voice trembling. "You okay in there?" Isabella flinched. Her first thought was fear. He looked like a street kid, someone she'd been taught to avoid. But when she met his eyes, she saw not danger, but concern. "My car won't start," she said through the glass. "My phone's dead," he nodded slowly. "There's an old shelter about a mile that way," he said, pointing toward the woods. "It's not much, but it's warm." She hesitated. Every instinct screamed not to trust him. But when a gust of wind slammed against the car, she realized she had no choice. The boy offered his hand. She took it. His skin was rough, cold as stone. Together, they trudged through the snow, step after painful step, until a small wooden shack appeared, half collapsed, roof patched with tin. Inside, a faint fire burned in a barrel. A pile of blankets, old cans, and a broken radio sat in the corner. It was his home. "You live here?" she asked, shivering. He smiled faintly. "Yeah, been on my own since I was 10. "I'm Nathan." "Isabella," she said quietly. He gave her his blanket, then his jacket. She tried to refuse, but he insisted. "You'll freeze before I do," he said with a grin that almost made her forget the cold. Hours passed as the wind raged outside. She learned his story, how he'd lost his parents in a fire, how the system forgot him. He worked odd jobs when he could, slept wherever he found shelter. Yet he spoke with gratitude, not bitterness. When she asked why he helped her, Nathan just shrugged. No one deserves to be cold. Something in his words melted a wall inside her. She had spent her life surrounded by luxury, yet she'd never met someone richer in spirit. As dawn approached, she fell asleep beside the fire. When she woke, Nathan was gone. Only his jacket remained, draped over her shoulders. Panic struck. Had he left her? She stepped outside and froze. Nathan was lying in the snow a few feet away, motionless. He had given her his last bit of warmth, and paid the price. Her scream echoed through the forest. She knelt beside him, shaking, tears freezing on her cheeks. Moments later, headlights appeared. Her father's security team had finally found her. But she didn't move. She just held Nathan's hand, whispering, "Don't you dare leave me." Paramedics rushed to him, wrapping him in blankets, shouting words she barely heard. For a moment, time itself stopped. Then Nathan gasped weakly, alive but barely. Days later, he woke in a hospital bed. Not the cold shack anymore, but a private suite paid for by her father. Isabella was there, holding his hand. Her father stood behind her, silent, humbled. He'd offered Nathan anything: money, a home, schooling. But Nathan asked for none of it. "Just promise me one thing," he said. "Use what you have, to help someone else someday." She nodded through tears. "I will." From that day forward, Isabella started a foundation in his name, the Nathan Trust, dedicated to helping the homeless survive winter. She visited him every week, And though he never asked for credit, the world soon learned of the boy who gave everything to save a stranger. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back, and on cold winter nights, when the first snow falls, Isabella still stands by her window, whispering a prayer of thanks, remembering the boy who turned her freezing night into a miracle. If this story touched your heart, leave a E in the comments. Subscribe to Whispered Words, where stories remind us that sometimes the poorest hearts carry the richest love.